Okay, hello, people. I think we are live. Wow, I so rarely do these streams these days, but welcome back to another monthly live stream. Now, it's just me today. I know as of late, we've had people join us as special guests and whatnot, but today it's just me. Figured it'd be a nice change to take a break from interviewing big people on the internet and just focus on myself. I think a lot of people have actual specific questions which they want to ask me, and we haven't had much chance to do that with our recent guests, but it's been a lot of fun doing so. For those who've missed the previous live streams, I do recommend you check out the last few. We had one with Gao from Chaser Archery. We had a very interesting talk on the engineering of bows and manufacturing and the company and behind the scenes of bow manufacturing. I learned a lot from that. Also check out the recent live stream with Patricia Gonsalves from Gnosis Archery. Lots of amazing stuff behind the scenes of TV shows and movies as well. And my favorite one is still the Justin Ma and GTN one. Looking at Chinese archery. So those are some of the specials. But today it's just me. Maybe in the future we'll invite a few more guests. If you have any recommendations, we'll be very happy to get some suggestions and maybe organize something with other notables in the archery community. But that is the way things are at the moment. Now I'm just gonna hopefully change the chat screen. It's a little small my screen, so let's just expand that can we I can see you now. I guess you can probably see yourself, right? Oh, magic. Ooh, I know this is kind of like I've got the OBS thing running, right? I can go ooh, ready? I gotta go ooh. That's lame. Anyway, welcome to the stream. Hopefully we can do that. Let's see. Oh, Nathan, give a shout out to Eliza Archery. Hey, Nathan, nice to see you. Oh, that was the best fun we've had for a long time, by the way. So fun to meet the Eliza guys. I didn't actually plan on going at all. I didn't know the shot show was happening. And it was Finn. Finn's in chat right now. It was Finn who's at just at the club. He said, "Oh, we're running this event next week." And I'm like, "What, really? What event? I don't know about this event." And the whole thing with Finn was that like he was asking for tips on how to show multiple people how to do archery. It's a public event. For those who haven't seen it, by the way, check out the shot show video I did that focused on Eliza Archery and the inflatable archery range. The funny thing with Finn, right, is that like I was role playing like your typical average guy, and this is like every like top 10 mistakes beginners make video. And he was like laughing at me. He was swearing at me, going, "Oh man, no way! That's stop being like a dickhead." And I'm like, no. People actually do this, all right? And I was going through everything, holding it wrong, like kind of doing the whole "whoop, how do I do a bow" sort of thing. He didn't believe me. He didn't believe me at all. And like I reckon, like after like 5 minutes at the shot show, he probably saw every single stereotype. Literally. It is really fun. There will be a video one day. I will talk about running public events and getting like multiple people to do archery and like, especially the mass audience and the mass the come and try kind of demographic. Um, yeah, that was something which people don't realize is how little the average person knows about archery. It's one thing when you have Nathan, I feel for you, man. Like the best we run at the club is like we run like an expo every year. It's the active expo. So communities or councils often run these local get active expos again to encourage more people to try archery or not try sport in general. And we volunteer for that. It just looks good, and the council supports us. But that like when you see a lot of people who are not the same demographic as your regular crowd. When people do archery, like to say, I want to do a come and try program, they normally come in with some level of interest because they want to do it, compared to people who have to do it or that they take the opportunity to do it. Because of that, right? Because of that, a lot of people will like misunderstand how much people know. That's what I said before. Is we as archers we're almost too comfortable knowing the basics and the fundamentals of archery. So based on what bow we use, we can pick a bow up and get a head around how to use it. But when you see people who have never done archery before, they just don't know how it works, and it's kind of unfair to judge them negatively. And we made a few points there with the video where some people said, oh, how can people let it go and like not know how to remove their fingers? I mean, obviously you've got to like let go and all that. That's true, except some people don't realize that there is a manual input. You have to actually do something to let it go. People didn't believe me. And then ask Finn, ask Nathan. There are people who just can't let go. One of the funniest ones we saw, and Finn was there as well. We were watching this kid. So he literally had. I'm gonna bring him back to show you. Like, yeah, be right back. Whoops, sorry. Oh, I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. Surprisingly, I've cleaned up my room, and I have no bows around here. There we go. So let me string this fiberglass bow. Okay, so this is what Finn saw. Okay, so we had a lot of young kids doing this. So they this is one guy he's a 8-year-old kid or something, really small kid, and he's really happy to do archery. And we showed him how to do everything. We put the arrows on, and we showed him how to pull the string back. And for the first two shots, he was fine. Obviously, they kind of dropped short because he was a small kid. He couldn't get a full draw. But had two good shots. And then for the third shot, he just had this confused look on his face. Like he couldn't figure out what was wrong. And we're watching him, and he's like... And it's looking at us. He didn't know how to ask for help. He's just looking at us. He's just going... And we're like, you can let it go. And it's like you can let go. Just let it go. Move your fingers. Just open your fingers. Like we were saying in every possible way to get him to move. So like, I don't know how he did it. He did it right the first two times, but the last time he just couldn't move his fingers. There was no action. Like his hand was completely stationary, and he's like, I don't know. And we were stuck with for like 5 minutes. Literally, he was holding it back for like 2 or 3 minutes, and he just couldn't figure out how to let it go. And when we finally told him to, we were trying to show him open fingers, like move, open your fingers. We're sure we're speaking English or not, but we said just open your hand. He'd be like, and he'd just be so confused over why the string didn't move. He was like, pull back. So, I'm trying to show him time and time again, pull back, let it go. And so he would actually do this. He would go, he would let everything go for one finger. He would like that. He'd move one finger or two fingers, and he just wouldn't let go of the string. And it's just such a bizarre thing, because he did it right. And then he just couldn't do it anymore. That's what we saw. Again, when I say people don't let go of the string, I'm not exaggerating. Some people just don't know to make the string go forward and the arrow go forward. You have to let go of something. There's just, I don't know, people have this very bizarre attachment sometimes. And that's something we saw a lot of on that SHOT Show. Another one I found really interesting, which I mentioned in my upcoming video as well, was that there was someone who was wearing a clay target shooting shirt, and she'd never done archery before. She seemed very competent. I mean, when you shoot guns, you probably had the confidence to do archery. That's not a problem there. But we had someone, like, she was really confident pulling it back. Once you showed her where to go, pull it back here, hold it here, and then let it go. And she was, like, holding in. and she was like, nothing's happening. And I had to tell her, it's not a shotgun, it's not a rifle. You have to actually like let the thing go. And when she did, she let it go afterwards, and it worked. I thought, whoa, that was really cool. That's amazing. But just the fact that like I did air rifle for the first time at that shot show, and I can recognize where it comes from because I think what she was doing was she was actually squeezing the trigger, like her fingers are going. You can see that she's squeezing the trigger, and just trying to make the gun go off, which is what you do for rifle and for shotgun. So she's just like squeezing her trigger, and she's like nothing's happening, and I'm telling her, you're using a bow. So yeah, plenty of funny stories. Anyone who's run these events, Nathan, I will feel for you there. Definitely has lots of these stories to share. And like, don't be offended when we call people out. It's not like we're naming and shaming people. This is what we instructors often see. And again, we are not exaggerating. Again, people in the comments of my other videos have said, no, it'll never happen. It happens a lot. Trust me on that one. Okay, is my chat too big, by the way? I feel like I'm covering most of my screen. Let me shrink that down just a bit there. Okay, that's fine. I can see my OBS screen, but that's fine. It's for me mostly. Anyway, so let's do a few quick chat questions. And then we'll fly back to. We've got like 4 prepared questions this time around. We're getting fewer and fewer submissions, but we got plenty of people watching, so we'll do that. So let's say hi to a few people. I think that's plenty of like preamble for the notification squad to come in. So hello to everyone in chat. We've got Artemi from Moscow. Hello. We've got Arkimizan from Malaysia. Christoph, hello. Raymond's going to hurry up and go away. It's fine. Let's see. We've got Kotha. Sir, my teacher's injured in an accident, so should I practice alone? Yes. Okay, great question. Look, practice whenever you can. Having a mentor, a supervisor, or a coach is a good thing. But if your coach isn't there, and for many reasons, might be timing, might be having a busy schedule, or in this case being injured, yes, it doesn't hurt to practice alone. And in fact, you need to practice alone. As a coach, I don't want you to only practice with me. Okay, this is something which a lot of people don't realize is we're not here to micromanage your archery development. We're here to guide you on your pathway. Now, a lot of people do this the wrong way in that they only practice when their coach is there. How it should work is that you should be practicing away from the coach, then come back and bring something to your coach. So if your coach identifies, all right, this is your 1 hour session, you have these 3 things you need to work on. Maybe it's release, back tension, and shot timing. And then you go home, you go outside of the coaching time, the club, you practice for 2 or 3 days, you try to fix these problems, you come back, the coach will assess you and go, okay, you fixed these things, but now there's 3 new things. So that's ideally what coaching should work like. If you're doing professional, of course, you can have a coach every day. But if you're getting a club coach or even paying for lessons from a coach, you need to have practice in your own time, and that will enhance what you get from the coach. If it's only like once a week and you're working only with one coach once a week, don't expect a dramatic increase in your ability. You need to put in time outside of that. So yeah, Kotha, if your coach is unavailable, then definitely practice that. If you are going to not practice because your coach is injured, then you're going to fall behind. I'd rather you practice. If I was your coach, I'd rather you practice by yourself and develop bad habits, which you can then unlearn, rather than you not practice at all and therefore lose that progress and that arrow volume which you need to develop as an archer. So don't feel afraid to train without your coach. You will need to do so. Let's see, Nathan, we said before, a shout out to Eliza Archery. My goodness, that was a good time we had there. Daniel Gray, the news DJ said. Oh dear. Zeppelin, what under 100-pound bows Would you recommend? I wouldn't really recommend a lot of under 100 pound bows. I mean, the cheapest bows you get these days are like the Chinese bows, like Mandarin Duck. They're fine for starting out, but depends on what you would like with your bow. I wouldn't really recommend a bow unless there is a particular parameter. That's something I've acquired over the years and just being exposed to a lot of people, and that is people who say, I recommend the Samick Sage, or I recommend the Mandarin Duck Phantom. Yeah, they both still work. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you have a more specific purpose in mind, then it's easy for us to recommend a particular model for your budget. Suicide Lizard, and we're going to do a video about arrows one day. I mean, things like GPI, GPP, FOC, and other fancy acronyms sound really complex. I don't really bother with too much, to be honest. But I will eventually do a video on that. Yes, Nathan, I will get in touch with you sometime. Send me an email or send me a message on Facebook, something of any request. I would definitely love to feature stuff that people do en masse. I do some events, but we don't do a lot of like mass school events where you have like 100 people. And we normally do like 15 at most, or 20 or 30. But doing 100 or 200 or 400, that's a different thing. So we'd love to get in touch with you to share your experiences. We can do a special feature for Eliza Archery. By the way, check out Eliza Archery's channel. Alec and the crew are doing videos on their thing as well. Let's do a plug. I mean, Nathan's here. Let's do a plug for Eliza Archery. I had their channel before. Where's Eliza Archery? Oh crap! No, I don't have any thing bookmarked. And then we'll swap over to our questions very shortly. But it's the live set right now. Come on, let's do a quick shout out to our good crew there. Finn and Nathan are here. There we go. Let's do a quick say hello to these guys. Bing, there we go. That's the official shout out. You've earned it. So that's the crew at Eliza Archery. They got a YouTube channel as well. They've done some reviews and some things there. Definitely give these guys a look. They're looking at some of the more recent releases. They're getting there. The channel is quite new, but they've been running the business for like a year or two now. So really good crew, very passionate people, run by Alec, who is the Australian Olympic bronze medalist from Rio. That's him over there. So yeah, it's really cool to see these guys and anyone doing archery videos. And of course, these guys have a lot of the merchandise and the new stuff coming in, which I can't look at. So definitely check these guys out. And that is your plug. Thank you, Eliza Archery. I'm falling behind the chat, by the way, so we'll fly through just a bit. Let's see. Peter Pocknell. Just want to say thanks for your videos. I never picked up a bow before, but after your videos, the trainer said I had to form an intermediate archer. Beautiful. That's one of the best things I've noticed of people who see my videos and turned up either at my club or elsewhere. They look like they've done it before. The way they hold the bow, the way they anchor, they've seen it before and they replicate it almost perfectly. You don't need to do much to look like you know what you're doing. A few fundamental steps, you find yourself impressing instructors. Like, we're used to people who can't let go of strings, so being able to anchor and align and expand very fundamental steps, which look really impressive. So nice to see that. What else is here? Nor Archery. Am I the only one who got tired after 10 shots using recurve bow? Depends on what weight bow you are using. If you're using like a heavy bow, would not be surprised if you only last 10 shots. But if you're using a light bow, like 15 pound or 20 pound, 10 is really low. That's like 2 minutes of shooting. So that may indicate something a lot more than just fatigue. We got a few things over here going on. Got people saying hi here. My chat's going a little crazy here. What's going on here? Let's see. So I'll just catch up with some of the old chat. So we said before with no archery, yeah, if you're tiring too quickly, that's perhaps not a fatigue issue, might be a strength issue. Space Chucky, sorry, I missed your question before. The Black Wolf is in mine. That was Thorin, who is at our club. I managed to recover it for a short while because one of our upcoming and new club members wanted to buy his own bow, and he messaged me asking if he can try the Black Wolf. And the next day, I brought the Black Hunter. And when he said Black Wolf, I looked at the bow and holding and thinking, wait, this is the Black Hunter. Didn't you say Black Hunter? I said Black Wolf. And we checked the message. It said Black Wolf. And I went, well, firstly, I don't have a Black Wolf. Secondly, you're like 14, 15 years old. Why are you spending $1,000 on a bow? And he said, "Oh no, I just really wanted one." So fair enough. I had to really encourage his ambition. But I said, this is like having an L plater driving a Lamborghini. That's a little excessive. You might want to try some other budget level bows and buy better accessories. And maybe when you get older, buy a Black Wolf or a similar high end bow as the bow of your dreams. Don't get the bow of your dreams from your dad right now. That's a bit unfair, and you don't deserve it. But yeah, we wanted to show him like $100 bow versus $1,000 bow, so I borrowed it for a bit. And we made a video while I was waiting for it. I actually didn't see him this weekend, so I still have it for no reason. But any reason to have a Black Wolf and use one, it's amazing. By the way, Black Wolf or the RCX 17, amazing bow, one of the best trad bows, also most expensive ones, but absolutely beautiful to shoot, even with a light draw weight with the wrong limbs, absolutely fine. Let's see. What else? Where do you buy chest guards and arm guards? Any archery store. Even on online Amazon or eBay, you'll find it doesn't really matter what like where you buy them from. These are accessories. Like buying your first bow, you need to think about where you're buying it from. But buying your first accessories, or your arm guard or your chest guard, doesn't really matter where. But most archery stores will sell these accessories as part of what their store has. So sorry about that. Buy from anyone, any shop will be fine. We mentioned Peter already, so yep, you have great form. It's always nice to impress people, as I said before. Richard, hello from the Kapiti Coast in New Zealand. Oh, I've got to go to New Zealand one day. I'm going to Sydney, by the way. So if anyone's in Sydney, I'm wondering where should I go in Sydney. I'm actually attending the Keesik Lee seminar. I was mentioned by Keesik Lee earlier this year, a couple of months ago, in fact, inviting me to come and meet him and attend his seminar. So I'll be doing that in December from the 11th to the 13th. It's only 3 or 4 days. I'm planning to stay an extra day on Saturday. So I've got Wednesday to Friday is seminar. So I have the evenings free, so I'm probably free then. But I'll probably free up Saturday. So if you have any ideas or suggestions, like which club I should go to hang out with, or you want to meet me, I reckon I'll stay one extra day in Sydney just to say hello to people. So if you want to do that, then please let me know what to do, because I haven't been to Sydney before. So yeah, you might find me floating around in your typical Vietnamese restaurant. Who knows? What else do we have here? We have. I should have done that. Let's see. Aluminum or fiberglass is the same material? No, aluminum is a metal. Fiberglass is not. Madham. Let's see. When I bought my bow, I wanted to get the shot trainer. The guy at the store said I shouldn't train my own for the first few months. I hate it when people say you shouldn't train by yourself. There's a bit of I don't know, just control issues there. I understand what people mean by you should have some guidance, but saying that you shouldn't train on your own at all is, I don't know about that one. Shirewood, you aren't the first one, Dave, unless you're the same person who told me to go to Shirewood. So maybe I drop by Shirewood. We'll see how that goes. I'm losing my thing. Is it? Keith, do you have any exercises to help judge distance up and down hills? Unfortunately, I don't have advice on that. I haven't shot field before or 3D, so I don't really have advice on judging distance. So unfortunately, I can't help you there, but definitely things you can find out from other people. What else do we have? What are your thoughts on sword sights, especially the Trident Hunter? That's from Richard Mead. I haven't used the sword sight, so I can't really comment on those. Let's see. Cheers, hello from Thailand. What partner should I use when I come back to shoot after a few months of being absent? I think this is your question for before, right? So let's actually switch to your question, because I think we've exhausted the chat ones at the moment. Let's flip over to our question set over here. So we go to our Facebook feed first. So this is from Chayuth from Thailand. What poundage should I use when I come back to shoot after a few months of absence? I currently shoot 30 pounds and have 24-pound limbs just in case, but I wonder should I go lower like 20 pounds, which will force me to buy a new one because I already sold those. To answer this question, Chayuth, you shouldn't go down in draw weight if you haven't trained for a few months. Uh, if you are still able to shoot with good form, then stay at your current draw weight. Now, many people will have their shooting limbs and their practice limbs. So if you need to work on form, then go down to your 24-pound bow. But you don't need to go lower just because you have been absent for a few months. A few months will not ruin your progress. Now, again, there are exceptions. If you have really poor conditioning, then this can be a big factor. But then I would question why you're shooting 30 pounds in the first place. So if 30 pounds is too high for you and you can't shoot that after a month or two of being absent, then you are probably overbowed to begin with, and you probably should be shooting 24-pound. I don't see a reason why you need to go below 24-pound and buy a 20-pound set of limbs, because 24-pound is what most people can handle without much training. Most adults can shoot 24-pound. I'm not sure how old you are, but most people can shoot 24-pound without exerting themselves a bit too much. So you should stick with the 30-pound limbs unless you actually can't shoot at all. If you have little control, you're shaking, you can't squeeze or control the expansion, then go to 24-pound. That's probably enough for you. By the way, side note, not a plug, but has anyone tried this before? This is the Coke Energy. I don't normally drink energy drinks, but I just saw this and I thought, well, I like Coke sometimes. I don't really like energy drinks, but if you haven't tried this, let me know. This is the no sugar version. I like Coke Zero better, but Coke no sugar. That's what it looks like, by the way. So it kind of has that light Coke caramel look with a bit of the, I guess the energy drink, the Red Bull kind of like taste. So, mm. I don't drink Red Bull. I've no concept of what Red Bull tastes like, but it tastes like Red Bull with Coke flavoring. That's funny. Okay, so that's my recommendation there. Was that Finn saying buy a chess guard at Eliza Archery? All right, fair enough. Good plug, Finn. You know how to sell stuff. Well done. Okay. By the way, I have to give Finn a plug. Finn's here right now. All right. If you're watching this and want to donate, give to Finn. Right, there we go. That's Finn's fundraiser. I freaked out when he had a $15,000 goal. Turns out it's actually 3 events. He's going to the World Indoors in Sydney, the Lancaster Classic, and the Vegas Shoot, and the Oceanic Championship. That's like 4 events, 3 of which are international. So yeah, if you wanna throw some loose change, give something to Finn. He deserves it. So he's in chat right now. If you have any questions, he is like a record holder in Australia. He's 13 and he's got very red hair. So if you have any questions, ask him in chat. I'm sure he'll be happy to hijack my channel for a bit there. So anyway, that was Chayuth's question. So I'm ignoring chat right now. I'll be going back to the chat questions in a moment. So I'm going to go through the ones we have prepared. Guillermo Lovato asks, say that you've stopped practicing for months. That's me. Now you come back and you barely shoot 50 arrows, but you won't go down in poundage. Just the opposite question to Judith. I definitely like going back to short distance. In that case, what can you do other than brute force through? If you can barely shoot 50 arrows, look, the only thing I say is you pretty much have to recondition. If you were gone for so long, again, similar question to Che Youth before, if you've been so out of a practice that you lose that conditioning, which can happen for higher draw weights, you have to have a plan to go back. You can't just shoot your same draw weight and expect the same result and the same performance if you haven't practiced that for an extended period of time. So the best solution is to go down in draw weight. If you don't want to go down in draw weight, then there is no other solution. if you want to keep the same draw weight, you will need to do other exercises, things like SPTs or specific physical training, stretching bands, training tools, so anything which gets you using archery muscles. That's why tools like the AccuBow can be useful. They're very expensive, but they can be calibrated for specific draw weights. I'll bring it up. I think Eliza Archery has the AccuBow, right? So we're gonna use Eliza Archery stuff just exclusively for this video. Let me just quick check here. I think the AccuBow is on Eliza Archery. The answer is yes. We had one on the shop before, so you can see in the video, but that's the AccuBow. It's very expensive, but the idea is that you can calibrate this for any drawer from 10 to 70 pounds. And it has a VR attachment, so you can put a stand here, a phone frame thingy, and you can have a VR program. Otherwise, any stretching band will do. Like, get yourself doing some kind of training to get back into conditioning. Otherwise, you can't shoot the same draw weight and hope for improvement, just because you're going to have bad form and you're going to have bad habits form because of that. So if you can't do it, then brute forcing it is seldom a good idea. Work back up to it. Either lower draw weight or get a training tool that will get you back up to your draw weight. That's the most logical choice there. What's next now? Prepared list. That's Phone Sevang. Are you still using the KOK3? I actually never had one. That was something that belonged to a club member that was sold to another club member, as equipment tends to happen. So yeah, I haven't used it. It's not mine. I haven't used it ever since I reviewed it. It's fine. It's a little skinny for me, a little light, but it works fine. Some people really love it. Nothing wrong with it. By the way, this is the Star Wars bow. I've been doing a Star Wars special. Who knew that, right? This is the this bow will appear in Rise of the Skywalker. Who knew that? So that's gonna happen. I'll talk about that next video, hopefully. But if you've seen some of the behind the scenes articles, or you've seen some of the social media, you'll see that this bow has been used as a Star Wars prop. So, one more question that's been pre-prepared. This is from Jack Lesham on the YouTube side. I've been shooting, this is a long one. I've been shooting archery for quite a bit. With a strange path, I effectively shot backyard archery for about 12 years before becoming a USA archery instructor, so I could teach at my camp. I'm just a level 1 instructor, so it's more safety and less perfect form. That's what level 1s do. Anyway, after teaching at my camp, I ended up joining my university team, or tram team. Unfortunately, the team wasn't that great or that safe, so I ended up acting more as a coach, which happens a lot too. That brings me, about the trad chat, that brings me to today, where I've started shooting Olympic-style recurve. I have a problem where the arrow keeps falling off the rest. I've been told it's because I'm squeezing the arrow, but while consciously trying to avoid this, the arrow is still sliding away from the riser. Because of my background, my coach moved me into a clicker 1.5 weeks into shooting this new discipline. However, the clicker is masking the issue of the arrow falling off the rest, and about 25% of shots involve the arrow sliding off the rest after the clicker goes. How do I fix this? And there's a mental barrier too. Alright, this is actually a good issue which I have as well. So what this describing is, when using a bow, and even with using a clicker, you have the tendency to push the arrow off the bow, which is very common. The most common cause, there are two causes of moving the arrow off. One cause is squeezing the arrow. That's what most people associate with this problem, is squeezing the arrow. So that's why people recommend splitting your fingers just a bit more, or using a tab which has a finger spacer, so it naturally moves your fingers away. That's one solution there, is make sure you have a gap in your fingers. But that actually isn't the main cause from what I've seen. So while this is the most obvious one, what I tend to see more often is people using knuckles. So what I mean by this is people curl their hand inwards like this. So as you pull back, you might have a tendency to knuckle up. So you can see that on my hand there, as I'm pulling back, your fingers may be moving inwards like that. And you obviously see this more from the knuckle showing. So if you have knuckles here, that means you are turning the string inwards and you're pushing the arrow off. And even with the clicker, you will knock the arrow off. So you might be at half draw, and then it clickers a click, and the arrow comes off, and you don't realize why. It's most likely you've lost control of your hook. This is one thing you don't realize because mentally you're focused on everything else. You're focused on stance, you're focused on shoulders being down, elbow turn outwards, you're focused on drawing it, keeping alignment, and you don't pay attention to what your hand is doing. Especially after a while, your hand becomes a little numb, you don't recognize that, oh, I'm doing something with my fingers. That may be why. So if your arrow is being knocked off the rest and you're going through the clicker too soon, most likely you flicked it off by moving your fingers. Your fingers should not be moving during the process. It's a static draw, so you have your hand like this, your fingers in your hook, and you draw straight back. You don't pull back with your hand, you pull back with your elbow. So let the elbow drive the shot process. So imagine I'm focusing on my elbow, I'm going to draw with my elbow. So the fingers stay static, but the elbow moves. And a lot of people who do archery will draw with their hand. So they'll pull it back, they'll draw with the hand inwards like that. They'll actually claw it back in. And because of that, you may be more prone to moving your fingers, even just slightly, on the draw. So the biggest visual cue is if your hand is flat, the back of your hand is flat, you are not going to knock it off ever. That's because the hand is actually curled the arrow into the bow. So if your hand is flat and your wrist is straight, you will naturally come into the bow and therefore keep the arrow on the riser and not trigger the clicker or move off the rest. If you are curling your knuckles or your knuckles are showing, then you are moving your fingers in the opposite direction and therefore you will knock it away. That's the most likely cause for your problem. Okay, now the good news is that concludes the official questions, which means this is now free question time. This may be a very short stream. These are happening a bit more frequently, so perhaps there are fewer questions. But let's go through some of the viewer questions. Let's see. Sorry, Finn, I will openly show Eliza Archery in my chat now. Reggie, have I accidentally shot a bird while shooting? I haven't. We've come close many times because birds will fly across the field all the time. Never done it, but a little close a few times. Sorry. Well, that's a weird taste. Let's see. Let's go scroll up back to chat for a bit. Martini, has anyone seen the video of the Korean female archer who shoots 3 arrows in a 10 ring? Choi Mi-sun, right? So, wait, no. Who was it? Wasn't Choi Mi-sun. But yeah, that was from one of the recent events. Yeah, I've seen that one. Let's see. Well, Finn's really working hard at promoting Eliza Archery there. Yeah, I don't recommend the Coke energy drink, by the way. It's a fun drink. If you like Red Bull, you'll probably find Coke energy over here an interesting thing. Again, I don't drink energy drinks. I don't drink Coke a lot anyway. But I was curious. Gotta go. Do I feel energized? Probably. I tend to fall asleep during these streams, but I've been sleeping quite well recently. Plus, I've been training a lot more. It's spring now in Australia, which means more time in the field. There's more daylight, so I'm doing a lot more regular training, which feels really good. Like, winter was a slump for me. Now I've got more time to diagnose problems and I've got more motivation to shoot, so I've been a lot more awake recently. Sorry, back again. Honestly, I have 40 pounds. I still borrow my senior's arrows. I thought it was in question. That's fine. Anonymous, should I choose a low poundage bow? What's the problem you had before? For a 14-year-old boy, I mostly use 35-pound bow. My hand shakes a lot. Should I go lower? Probably. If your hand is shaking, either you're too tense or the bow's too heavy. Or it doesn't hurt to go lower. Shooting a high poundage bow can really reinforce bad form and bad habit. Nor am I doomed for accidentally shooting 40 pounds when I always practicing 30 pounds. You're not doomed. there's nothing wrong with shooting a heavier draw weight. A lot of it is seeing what your limits are. Knowing that you are struggling with maybe a 30-pound bow, then look, as long as you don't always shoot a 40-pound bow and therefore create bad habits, then you're fine. Don't worry about it. It's okay to shoot a heavy bow every now and then. Am I going to make my own arrows? No, from scratch? No. It's because I shoot carbon, and you can't make carbon. That's a factory thing. People can make their own wood shafts, but I don't make my own arrows. Is that a War Thunder question? Yeah, May Takahashi. Why stop playing War Thunder? This is an archery stream, but we'll talk about War Thunder very briefly. I finished the game basically. Like, I played War Thunder for like 4 or 5 years or something. So eventually moved on to other things. I stopped having fun. The game got very repetitive, especially at high tier, where it became very expensive to play. Now, I don't pay to play. I was a sponsored creator, so therefore I got free stuff. But even as a sponsored creator, I just ran out of money. Like the top tiers right now are so unbalanced that it doesn't. You have to pay to keep on playing. That's despite paying money already to buy like Golden Eagles and stuff. So it just wasn't worth it. It wasn't fun anymore. Like you play a low tier, and it's really fun. But playing high tier, it's like one-shot kills and there's helicopters and missiles and like, and that's not why I played the game in the first place. So it wasn't fun anymore. Finn, 99% of doctors recommend Eliza Archery. Keep on doing that, Finn. Where do we go from here? Was it the last one? Okay. Yeah, any last questions? This is a very short stream. It's less than an hour, which is great, by the way. I've got other things to do. I like work to mark and games to play. In that order, hopefully. Anything else? Niall is here. Hey, we just made fun of you, didn't we? Oh dear. Well, we were. You might want to rewind back to the beginning. We were making fun of the Black Wolf comment. John Horton, is there anywhere that you recommend that is good for making traditional bow workshops? I'm assuming by this you mean, is there anything are there workshops you recommend rather than are there bow workshop building tutorials, like actually build a bow? I don't know in particular places. I know locally there's been a course and someone actually brought in the bow they made by hand, which is amazing. But I don't know of any particular workshop, so you may have to look it up yourself. I don't know any happening at the moment. Let's see, what else do we have here? So I'm scrolling back up. We've got the make. Sorry, itchy nose. I'm a new archer and I have this problem that when I shoot, the arrow flies sideways and it sticks on the target sideways. Oh, okay. So if you're shooting the arrow to make and it kind of goes off sideways, it is most likely a release issue. Now, sometimes it may be an arrow issue where the arrows you get at the sight may not be matched for the bow, so it will always go kind of wonky sideways. But if it's every arrow, then it's likely a tuning issue with the bow and the arrow. If it's sometimes, it's you. So, grabbing the arrow, bow, sorry. What you'll see is watch your release hand. Okay, so if you are releasing cleanly, if you're letting the string come off naturally, it should go straight back into the bow. So go straight in and you have less sideways movement. If your release is more forced, so you can end up plucking the string. An example very obviously is if you like that. If a clean release, not going to dry fire, but just to emulate this, you're pulling back and it goes straight back, then that's fine. But if you are plucking it and your hand especially goes sideways, like that, that's more likely a sign that you are plucking the string, and that extra movement is going to enforce sideways motion in your arrow. That's like the reason why you have arrows coming off really weird ways or weird angles, but it depends on what you're using as well. So it could be an arrow issue. If it's every single shot, then that's the bow and arrow. If it's just a few shots or one shot, that's you. So try to have a clean release. Let the string come off the fingers. The fingers have to relax. The string will come off by itself. The more you force the string to go forward, then the more likely you are to throw your shot sideways. And this is something we saw at the SHOT Show as well. Finn and Nathan can testify to this. A lot of people think they have to throw the thing forward. Arrow goes forward, therefore you throw it forward. Very typical naive novice thing, where they let it go and they go like that. They think they have to throw it forward. They don't. You pull it back and let the string go. But some people don't process that. But yeah, point being is let the string come off naturally. Don't force it to come off. That's a sideways question then. Satan. A guy at our club pulled 3 bows apart, as in like destroyed 3 bows, they exploded his hand. I'm thinking he's doing something wrong, as it only happens to him. He's cursed, that's why. Everything he touches turns to crap. The bows supposedly are already larger than they should be. I'm not sure exactly what the question is. If the bows are like blowing up, it could be the most unluckiest guy to have like 3 defective bows, but without seeing him shoot, I wouldn't know. You can break a bow by using it wrong, but you've got to do this. You've got to be really rough on the bow to do so. So yeah, don't really know much about that. Steve Skip, what are some things to keep in mind when shooting in big competition? Remember, it's just you. Treat a competition like a practice. That's why if you shoots regularly, you shoot rounds regularly, then a big competition is really not much more than a practice event. There may be the same number of people or maybe more people, but it's just you. The distance is the same distance, the wind's the same wind, the target the same target. It's the same sort of thing. Don't let the fact that you're doing a competition freak you out. Treat it as just a practice shoot. How to overcome target panic. I've done a video on this. So I'm missing a few questions. The target panic. This is from Lufty. I've done a video on this already, so watch my video on target panic. Main thing is to isolate yourself from the target. To practice form. Get the fundamentals down. Practice form. No target, short distance, close your eyes or open your eyes, but don't shoot at a target. Just shoot an empty butt or empty barrel and let form take over. You have to automatize form before you start shooting at targets. If you're shooting at targets and you are having a hard time focusing, reinforce good form, mentally go through the process. Then, when you feel confident in your form, reintroduce the target. That's how you break through. You've got to establish good form and remind yourself what a good shot should look and feel like, and let that drive the shot process, not shoot at a target and hope for the best. That's target panic in a nutshell. Watch my video, I go through more discussion and detail there. Let's see, what else do I have here? Wiziko has a good question. Should I do SPTs with my 36-pound limbs or my 26-pound limbs? I'm shooting well at 26 pounds on 30 meters, but I can't shoot further without compensating my sights. Honestly, do SPTs under heavier weight. Firstly, 36 pound isn't that heavy compared to 26. It's a big difference, I know, but most people can handle 30 plus without too much problem. Do conditioning on 36, but shoot 26. Eventually, you condition to become more confident and stronger to shoot a heavier weight. So you could do SPTs on 26 pounds, that's fine, but you probably find more gains with a 36-pound bow. I do sometimes use a 50-pound bow. I shoot like 36, but I've got like a 50-pound bow to do SPTs on. So it doesn't hurt to try to practice SPTs above your weight. In fact, that's a very useful thing to do, especially in shooting competition. You want maximum control of a lower draw weight, but you might want to condition on a higher draw weight. That makes a lot of sense. So I recommend a higher draw in this case. Macbeth, do I follow World Archery broadcasts? Usually, not always, depends on the timing. I don't really have a favorite athlete, and I don't really have favorites in general. There are people I definitely want to shoot against and meet in person, but I don't really have a favorite athlete. Mostly because like you see them shoot, but in the end, like I don't really hero worship people or anyone. Like, the people I respect, but don't go like, wow, I'm a big fan of like Brady Ellison. So I don't know. Like, I don't really have a favorite, but definitely people I respect very much. I think if in terms of respect, I'll probably say Brady Ellison's got a lot of good press. But yeah, it's kind of biased because I follow him on social media, but don't follow many others. I mean, I follow like Katrina Lorig every now and then. But oh yeah, and of course we have our Triple Trouble crew. Sven Van, Sven. Yeah, Sven is around here somewhere. I do sometimes watch him. I'm his fanboy because he's the best thing about so not Sven, Swift. Sorry, I'm mixing my people up. Swift Vandenberg. So he not only does he shoot World Archery events, he's also like as a YouTube channel, Triple Trouble Archery, as well as he's in chat a lot if the World Archery crew. So often like we often troll each other in chat. We kind of make fun of like Dutch people, and it's really good in chat. It's hard because there's like 3 or 4 of them running the channel, so you can't tell who's running it at that time, but you will find Swift occasionally. In chat on World Archery on the Triple Trouble Archery channel account, and he's really fun to talk to. So yeah, it's mostly people I've worked with or talked to rather than people I watch. But people are really cool about this sort of stuff. Noor, what bow brand do you recommend? I don't recommend bow brands. Just go for what you like. I mean, I'm not, I'm not like selling things. I'm not tied to a brand. I'm not sponsored specifically. So buy the brand you want. If I was to say like Chaser Archery, I mean they're a good company in China for no marketing, so check them out. But it depends on what your budget. I can't really advise on a brand. That's really hard to say because it depends on what bows are available to you really. Joint team trees, honestly that is. Um, where am I? The furthest I've shot, probably 70 meters. I don't shoot. I mean, we have a 90-meter round, which nobody shoots, unless you're shooting like state championships. But 70 meters standard Olympic distance, and that's what we mostly shoot. Unless you do clout, but clout's different. So, no, 70 meters. All right. Jay, just curious. Normally, you recommend 30 pound as a normal weight people can shoot, but the range I shoot, I found rarely anyone can shoot 30 pound or above some athletes. I mean, the thing is, with the draw weights, a typical adult should be able to pull 30 pound without much training. Doesn't mean there's no training involved. You can do it without much training. That's fine. What you will see though is that it really depends. A lot of people don't handle 30 pound without additional training, but 30 pound is fairly lightweight. You will probably not see many people who are adults who can't at least pull 30 pound. Not just like shoot well, but just even pull 30 pound. 30 pound is what? It's what it's like 12 kilograms. Like people can lift 12 kilograms. Like if you can't pull 30 pound, how do you carry your bags home, right? Um, so I'm not trying to be a snob and say because you can't shoot 30 pound therefore you're weak, but 30 pound is fairly light. So if you're at a range where people aren't shooting more than 30 pounds, that's a little unusual. But then again, I'll point out that biologically, Asian people tend to be of smaller frames. Look at me, right? It's a bit harder for many Asian people to build muscle and gain mass and so on. Doesn't mean they can't, but naturally, Asian people tend to be more on the smaller frame side, and that's a natural part of archery as well. So if you find yourself not naturally inclined to shoot more than 30 pound, I wouldn't be surprised if that is the case at your range. But it may be that nobody dares to shoot more than 30 pound because they don't want to feel that exertion. Some people just want to do this, alright? Yeah, so some people just want to shoot for fun and therefore not feel weight, and they'd rather shoot for like hours at a time for a light bow rather than a heavy bow for a short amount of time. But I really do think that 30 pound is achievable by most adults. And a lot of people outgrow that very quickly. I mean, like I personally stay in the 30 pound range, like 35 pound. I don't really go more than that for competition. I don't shoot competitively enough to shoot a heavy bow, but mid 30s is about what I do, and that's fine for 70 meters. But yeah, I think that people would probably handle 30 pound fine. But yeah, it depends on where you are. I think it's more of a culture and mindset rather than a physical limitation. That's my comment on you, the situation, Chayuth. What else do we have here? Oh, sorry, Rich, you got an 80-yard range. Yeah, it's weird. Everything is metric except for distances. I mean, we use imperial for like archery equipment. Like we measure them in inches and pounds, but distances are meters. You just imperial, right? Oh, thanks, anonymous. That's Oh yeah, the plant trees one. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that's cool. No, like the whole like tree planting is really cool, but the spam is not cool. But nice to know though. Uh, Giz Mono Mono Korean traditional archery competitions are 140 meters. Yes, they're 140. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that? What should I think about that? I'm not sure what people ask me, well, what should you think about this? I don't know. I've seen them shoot. I haven't seen them in person, but I've worked with people who've done Korean archery. Same with Bhutan, by the way. Bhutan and Korean archery share the same distance. Like it's I'm not sure what I'm supposed to think about that. Like the reason why it's done is because it has a closer tie to historical archery, back to its roots. So shooting 140 meters on a 2 meter target is basically the same as hitting someone on horseback. So it doesn't matter where you hit, as long as you hit them, it's a point. And it has that. It's probably a closer tie to military archery than Lars Anderson archery. Lars Anderson's all about speed and trick shooting mostly, and demonstrating skill. But stuff like Korean archery has a very close tie to historical war archery because you are shooting at a military target. 2 meter target at 140 meters means you hit a horseman coming at you from 140 meters away. So it's very good distance shooting. So it is very much. Also, thanks, Space Jockey. Shanghai Jin, thank you. It's funny because like the Korean team rotates through their team so frequently. I mean, they've done their team now, and a lot of the former athletes are out of the team. They say that the national selection is harder than the actual Olympic event, for a good reason. So thanks for reminding me, Space. I completely forgot about that. You can see how quickly they become irrelevant in Korean archery because someone else comes in and takes their spot. But yeah, so that's what I think of Korean traditional archery. It's a very good thing to practice. If it had the space, I would do it too. And people who practice it enjoy it a lot. I mean, it seems very fun to lob arrows long distance. That's very much a traditional time. So we'll see. There's a question from Australia. Is it true you need 403 pounds to hunt? 40 pound, no. 403 pounds to hunt. Holy crap. What are you hunting? Dinosaurs? No, 40 pound. No. 40 pound is a legal requirement. Now, it depends on where you are. States will differ, countries will differ. For the most part, you need 40 to 45 pound, depending on what you hunt. Now, the people in chat already mentioning what they are. Thanks to Matthew Briffer for pointing it out. Yeah, in Victoria, which is where we live, the minimum is 45 pound for deer. Sorry, what's it? 45 the hunt, and for larger game like the sambar, it's 50. Yeah. So the reason why you have this draw weight is to ensure a clean, ethical kill. People who shoot animals with underpowered bows, the arrows are less likely to penetrate. So you have wounded animals that won't die, but will be very painfully injured, rather than having a clean kill. So the point of the draw weight is to make sure your arrows can get a clean kill rather than like just injuring. You see people who shoot pets, for example, with underpowered eBay bows, or they shoot horses. I've seen those, and they're pretty much barbaric and cruel. And it's kind of funny. People talk about hunting, but hunting should be clean and ethical, not barbaric. You're not trying to make animals suffer. You're trying to hunt them cleanly and harvest their meat for usage. So that's why the drawback exists. The minimum draw depends on your jurisdiction. You've got to look it up yourself. Every state's different. Every state is different. Every country is different. So look it up in your local area. Yeah, no, I saw that live space. I know what the video is talking about Shanghai Jin. I watched that live. That was an amazing thing. But yeah, I know what you're talking about there. So just going back to the chat a bit here. Satan again. Satan, I'm shooting a takedown bow. One of the limbs sometimes does not want to come off at all. Yes. That can happen. Like the limb pockets may not be the limbs and the limb pocket may not be manufactured perfectly together. You may have to sand down part of the limb to actually get it to come off. There are a couple of people I've seen who can't get the limb off. They'll actually pop their shoulders trying to remove their limbs. Literally pop their limb to remove a limb. There might be an issue with the fit, so you might want to check if you need to sand something down. Only a tiny bit is needed to make it slide in properly, but it may be stuck because it's not too tight there. Why did I do archery, Anonymous? I've got a whole video about this too. So, why did I do it? Someone got me to try it. Why do I still do it? It fits me as a person. I tend to be individualistic. I tend to be perfectionist, at least for myself. And archery is about doing the same thing by yourself over and over again. So, that's why I find it quite soothing for me. I like paying attention to small details, which is why I run my channel. Like, it's about small details. But archery is all about small details. I find it quite natural for me to do archery. I don't find it relaxing, by the way. I find it quite intense, which is why I like doing it. Some people find it relaxing. Some styles I shoot for fun. So I shoot trad or thumb draw for fun. I find it quite relaxing. But when I shoot competitively, I find it quite intense. So it does give me a large range of different engagement and feeling, depending on my mood and what I want to do. But it's quite versatile. That's why I like doing it. Ray, what the positive and negative impacts of a bow cut past center? Most of the center cut advantages basically makes it easier to tune. You can choose a greater range of spines in order to get a better flight of the arrow. Otherwise, you're stuck with. You need to use a soft spine to work around a straight riser, but you want soft, not too soft. The center cut changes the tune of the bow, so you can use different arrows for that. That's a pretty rough explanation. I don't really want to talk about it right now. I've got a video about center cut, by the way, but the most thing is it's mostly easier to tune arrows with. How to twist? Sorry, this is Muslim. How to twist stuck knocks easily? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Use a tool, I guess. There are tools, they're called knocking tools, which is basically a bit of plastic we can turn things around. So there might be a tool for that. Pliers can help too. It depends on how stuck they are and why they're stuck. Why do I have a bow on my shoulder? So I'm demonstrating things, so I thought rather than put it down every single time, I'll just leave it here in case someone asks a question about technique. Let's see. So I feel like that's a great question from Space recently. Have I tried archery tag, Macdeath? No, I haven't. Be nice to do, but it's not really archery. It's more like tag. So I don't really find it really fun, but I haven't done it yet. I haven't seen this. Okay, funny question with Gizmono Mono. The Lars Anderson video. I haven't seen it. I don't watch Lars Anderson much anymore. Because I don't really care that much. Because like it was on the last Sunday. We were joking with Finn, and we said, "Have you seen his last video?" I said, "Well, which one?" Because he makes a video like every 6 months or something. And the last one he made was that wooden arrow one. And funny enough, that night he published that video. So it's a bit outdated to say that yes, I have, but I haven't seen his latest one. Don't care too much, to be honest. So Space had a very good question. So I seem happy of late, which is good. Is it the sports drinks? No. Okay, serious question. All right, why? So the reason why things have changed a lot. Remember, I whinged a lot about my club situation. So this is serious talk now, real talk. The reason why I was quite upset or quite down, especially in archery in recent few months, one, winter, which means less shooting time, but the thing which I really fought against was the dependency on me to run the club. And I don't run the club solo, but we have like two instructors, and I'm the main one. I'm the coach and one of the instructors. Now, this is what it feels like when you go through. This is volunteer burnout. I used to run the club solo as an instructor for like 2 or 3 years. And when you volunteer every single Saturday morning without break for 3 years for a hobby which is meant to be your hobby for fun, you get pretty angsty about that. Like, it's very hard to maintain a positive mindset when 120% of your archery time is spent on other people. So that reached a head this year where, our second instructor had to go on holidays, and I refused to run the club. I just refused, as I wasn't doing it. That was back in July, and we shut down the program. We shut down Come and Try. And I've been almost like campaigning against Come and Try, because the direction the club was heading in, not to head too much into club politics and details, that there was a lot of push to invest in expanding the Come and Try program, to run an OSBO program, to run more intermediate programs. And I keep on saying, yes, but who's going to run this? All this is fine and good if you have 100 volunteers. You have one volunteer, or two in this case. Yeah, but let's say we have one volunteer. Who the hell is going to run this program? And I did a lot of pushback. And there's a lot of leverage, because if I'm not going to run it, who will? I'm a volunteer. I don't get paid for this. And when you kind of, not force, but you strong arm volunteers to run it every single week, the burnout is real. And in the end, like, look, a single instructor pays for themselves within one session. Like, in 2 hours, we can earn like $100 or $200, depending how many people turn up. So there's a huge investment, and I raise this at every single meeting. Yes, our finances are good, but remember, you're not paying your volunteers. Your volunteers are bringing in all the money. So that was the thing which kind of really changed my mindset, was looking at how much money have I made for the club, right? And if I run, like, let's say there are 20 sessions in a year, I run like 20 of them, and maybe more sessions, all right? And each session might be $100. I've run it for 4 or 5 years straight. That's a lot of money that people make by themselves. So it's kind of unfair for that. So I didn't shut down, but I proposed that we postpone and suspend the Come and Try program until we reach the point where we can recharge and where we have enough people to run it. If we have 4 or 5 volunteers rotating, then we can run that very easily. By the way, if you want to be an instructor, sign up. Like, you can be an instructor at your age. Like, definitely, we have around like 5 or 6 people right now who want to sign up as instructors, and we've had a great impact for that reason. And if we can maintain 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 instructors, you've got a healthy club. But when you have one person running everything, the club dies. Okay, the instructors die inside. That means the club dies. That was my problem. This is Space Jockey's question. Why am I happier now? I teach less. That's a huge change. When you have to spend every Saturday morning, like, I work full time as a teacher. I'm exhausted by Friday afternoon. I don't go out. I'm just wasted. When you have that Saturday morning and you have to wake up early, set the club up yourself, teach people for 2 hours, and then you have no time to shoot for yourself, that is what really kills that passion. And that's what I really needed, was time off. So I stopped running the program. When it became down to one person, I went, no, I'm not doing it again. Took a 1 month break. I pushed for a fortnight program, not a gaming program. I mean, like every fortnight, every 2 weeks, we would run something. I think there was some push to run it every week. I'm like, no. Don't run every week with this amount of resources. We are so stretched thin with the current like number of people running it that even if one person can't turn up because they're busy, or in my case, for example, I might go to the expo, I might go to a different event, I might shoot a competition. Who's gonna run it, right? We can't run it every single week and alternate between two people like that. So I'd rather stack all available instructors on one day rather than force every single person to run 1 week each until we reach the point where we have enough people. Now that comes back to me. That means I've had more time to shoot. This weekend's a good example. Normally, this weekend, if this was running the old schedule, that means we'd have come and try on Saturday for 2 hours. That means we'd have like additional members come to train. It'd be like all the time is spent towards other people. I'd be so exhausted to spend my entire day at the range. Sunday, that means we have a shoot. I'm like, well, people have to go to a shoot, otherwise it doesn't run. Therefore, I turn up and shoot, and it's not fun. So it was always like a 7 day commitment. Volunteer 2 days, basically working without any pay, and then work 5 days. It's just absolutely exhausting mentally and physically. So this weekend was great. Yesterday I didn't go because it was like patchy thunderstorm weather. Didn't look very good. Had no problem taking a day off. Come and Try wasn't running. Didn't lose anything. Maybe the members turned up. Maybe they didn't. There was a shoot. I don't know who turned up because it was last minute. But point being was I could not go and feel fine. Today I went. I had 2 or 3 hours to myself, and one member joined me. So it was a nice session where I could shoot for 3 hours straight, uninterrupted, no beginners, no inquiries, no come and try. That's what I needed for the last 5 years, and I finally got time to do so. So that's the long answer to the question, Space, and something which you can really talk about. But yeah, it's mostly like I say this to all the members. I might do a video about this one day. But you've got to protect your volunteers. So yeah, now by the way, if you're watching, if you wanna join the instructor team, then just become a member. We will get enough interest to run an instructor course very shortly, I hope. That is organised by the State Association. But we're always looking for more instructors, so we'll be happy to have you on board. Oh, wow, okay. I'm gonna make that the question. Any worse noob trying too hard at club and ruin the day? No. Oh, actually, yes. Not ruin the day, but leave me to question what, why, how. I actually made a thread about this on Reddit quite a while ago. So my this is the worst. Like I haven't had someone ruin the program because like especially under my watch, I don't ruin my program. I haven't had people do anything stupid. The one person I found, I think anyone who wants to buy their own bow before they turn up, it's a high risk of actually doing something silly, but we normally put them in place by pointing out the right ways. But we had one guy who he kept on insisting on shooting the way he thought was right. So he wanted to go off the grid, he wanted to hunt his own food, and he wanted to shoot ambidextrously. And it's a very bizarre thing. Like, everything he did, he had to shoot with both hands. So because we didn't have ambidextrous bows in our club, he would take both a left-handed bow and a right-handed bow. So while everybody else had one bow, he had two. And if we had spare bows, doesn't hurt. He wanted to shoot both hands, that's fine. Now, he didn't ruin programs, but what I found was weird was like he kept on alternating. So he kept on changing hands. And when you teach someone, you teach them to shoot one hand first, get them to shoot safely and correctly, and you might shoot either offhand as a practice thing. But he was literally, sorry, I smacked myself there. He was literally going shoot 3 arrows, and then next in switch hands, shoot 3 arrows, and then go back, shoot 3 arrows. And he would swap every single end, and it was frustrating as an instructor because he very clearly was right-handed. He didn't have the control of a left-handed shooter, and he's just starting out, by the way. So he's learning, instead of learning the good process with both hands, he's developing bad habits with both hands. And when you would teach him something, you'd say your anchor's a little off there, try to keep it here. He would acknowledge that on one hand, but then switch hands and not do it because he didn't have the same dexterity and control with his other hand, and he would forget what you taught him. So it was just so frustrating to teach because you were standing in one spot and then he would rotate and turn the other way. It's like a switch hitter in cricket or something where you want to swap sides in the last second. So, coach, I stand here. All right, you shoot. Then he turns around like what? I'll go to the other side, and then you get back to the other side. It was really weird. He didn't last very long at the club, by the way. He had a lot of strange habits, questionable. But won't go into too much detail. But that's the weirdest story I've had. He didn't ruin the club program, but that was just he was so obsessed. Like he refused to shoot anything that wasn't ambidextrous. When he went bow shopping, he would only look for ambidextrous bows. He wouldn't consider any recurve. He ended up buying a Chinese bow off eBay. It might have been a Mandarin duck actually, or Bows and Bows. But he bought a traditional Chinese bow because the trad bows are ambidextrous, and it was like £50. They couldn't pull it back. So yeah, like he never learned the basics. He just went straight to learning ambidextrous, which was a little painful to watch. But that was the strangest one I've had. But yeah, he didn't ruin things. He just kind of just kind of didn't want to follow instructions. But yeah, he wasn't the worst noob. Just one of the weirdest ones. I've done form checks for a while, sorry. Because I haven't seen many submissions. I got like one submission sitting in my inbox. So if people aren't really demanding it, then I don't really do it. Because people don't really send things live anymore. So if I get people sending things into me, then I'll go through a form check. But if people don't give me things to analyze, then I kind of go, yeah. Well, I guess we'll hold off to a different time. Margarita, what can cause shoulder pain in the arm holding the bow? Most likely reason for shoulder pain is your shoulder popping up. That's pretty much 90% of cases. Very likely, if you are pulling back and shoulder pops up, for example, you might be leaning backwards, or you might just be stroking with the bow weight and your shoulder comes up, then that's most likely going to cause shoulder pain here. Main thing is remember to keep your elbow rotated outwards, focus on keeping the bow shoulder down, and if you draw the shoulder down, you won't feel that at all, right? It just pops up. That will hurt a lot. Even a few centimeters up here will change the load. So that's going to hurt a lot if you do that. But it's most likely going to be... Sorry, I'm doing things right. It shouldn't be touching the mic. It's going to be that by accident. It's most likely your bow shoulder's coming up because you are popping it up. What are the requirements to be a couch to be a coach and instructor? I assume you can't become if you just want to. Actually no. Instructors normally don't require anything. So an instructor to gain accreditation to be an instructor. Sorry, move my face here. I'm gonna move my microphone just a bit. There we go. So the requirements to be an instructor are not high. You just, if you want to be an instructor, then you just look for the course and you apply for it. Now, the specific requirements will be different depending on where you are, but for the most part, everything you need to know about archery is taught to you. It's taught to you as part of the course. So you don't need to be a good archer. You don't even need to be an archer. You just need to want to be an instructor. So you therefore don't need to have any qualifications, any experience, or any skill to be an instructor. All you need is willingness. Let me cross this way a bit. So, to be a coach, you need to fulfill certain requirements. So that's what tends to happen a bit more. You need to look at what's required to be a level 2 coach. But a level 1 instructor is just the willingness to work with people. Everything else is provided in your course. Normally from there, you need to go to either an extra course, have extra training, or prove you have a certain amount of experience as an instructor to be upgraded to a level 2. And then afterwards, depending on your system, there may be basically extra specialized coaching things. So in a nutshell, level 1, the instructor, is mostly how to shoot safely. So you learn the skills to how to string a bow, how to make sure things are safe, how to set up a safe field, how to show people how to go through the shooting steps, and that sort of thing. So it's very simple, get people to shoot. Level 2 is when you know more about tuning. So tuning a compound or recurve, that sort of stuff. So it's more technical. Level 3 and above is more sports science. So you have more formal studies and reading on sports science and psychology and more advanced training methods. So that's kind of how it works. But anyone can take the first step. Coaching and above needs a bit more. Retardation, Niall. I am not an instructor. I'm actually a coach. So I'm a higher level. So on the Australian scale, I'm a level 2 coach. That's not the same as what the Americans have for internationally, but I'm a level 2 coach, not a level 1 instructor. So at our club, Greg and I are both level 1 instructors. We've got like 3 or 4 out of level 1s. When you apply to become an instructor, you go for the level 1. There is a level 0 that's meant for like clubs and schools and camps. Level 1 is a standard club instructor. Level 2 is what I am. Would it let you be an instructor? Of course. Let's see. Fazar. My question is, how can we keep our motivation to shoot when we feel bored of archery? Increase challenge. If you're bored, what are you doing that is changing that? Are you shooting at an easy target? Are you challenging yourself? If you're shooting the same thing, and this happens a lot at the club. Hi, Stephen, by the way. If you're shooting at the same thing every single time and there's no challenge, yes, you'll get bored. No doubt about that. If you are shooting, say, I mean, a lot of people, like, I've had people at the club shoot at like 10 meters only. I'm in Australia, yes. People shoot at 10 meters for like months. And like, dude, you've got like $1,000 bow. Move back. Like, you've got the skill to shoot further. But some people will never challenge themselves past the point of comfort. So they might shoot at 10 meters. They might shoot at 20 meters. That's basically it. So if you're shooting at a very easy target, of course you get bored. But that's where you challenge yourself. Shoot at a smaller target. Shoot at a more distant target. Do both. So you kind of need to put yourself in a situation where you need to improve your skill, challenge yourself, and basically improve from there. Change the challenge. Archery is inherently boring, but as of all things, it can be boring if you don't find it challenging and fulfilling. For me, progress was a big one. We have a very high turnover rate at the club. We got very poor retention in the past because we didn't provide any challenge to the club. There's no coaching, no pathway, no events, so there's no reason to shoot. So give yourself a reason, find a reason to shoot, whether it's competition or personal challenge, work towards that goal. So yeah, that is what you should keep in mind for Zah. I hope that answers your question. But yeah, challenge yourself. If you have no goal, then of course there'll be no fulfillment. Find out what you find fulfilling about archery. If it's a personal sense of achievement, then work towards that. If it's a sense of like calmness and meditation, relaxation, then do that. If it's winning shiny medals, then do that. Whatever it is you find fulfilling, you do. Progress is progress, but if you have no sign of progress, you will get bored. That's my advice. Macbeth, do I consider archery a sport, discipline, or martial art? All three, depends on what you do. If you, like, for example, like, if you look at Olympic archery, that's not a martial art because it's not intended for martial purposes. It's a sport. But if you look at something like, say, traditional Chinese archery, that is very much part of martial arts. It is meant for martial reasons. So the answer is all three. It is a sport, a discipline, a hobby, a martial art, whatever you call it, depending on how you do it and why you do it. So I make no pretense. Olympic archery is not a martial art because it is a sport. It is designed to be a sport, practiced by athletes. It is a sport. But something like more practical shooting, like horseback archery, is more of a martial art or a discipline or a martial art. A sport can be, yes. But again, it depends on why you do it, how you do it. I'm not professional. I just shoot in my backyard with my compound bow and teaching myself, but I want some tips to shoot better. Can you tell me? That's a vague question, man. Like, if you want advice, you've got to let people see you shoot. I can't give you any general advice on how to shoot unless I know what you're currently doing. So, recommend you send in a form check, film yourself shooting, share it, send it to me. We can do a live form check and a live stream. But yeah, like unless we see you shoot, we can't really comment. Last call for questions. We're down to our last 5 minutes. We're ending at 11 p.m. Hopefully, those who are watching this stuff. I know the time zone's a little strange. I can't really do this. I mean, I'll change my times around based on what people want, but we've got some like daylight savings and stuff going on, so it's a little weird. But last call for questions, and then we might sign off then. And who knows, maybe next time we'll bring a special guest in. I've plugged Eliza a few times and Finn. Oh, wow, what a funny stream that was. Had the whole Eliza crew coming in. Oh, there's a question there. What's a question from Richard? Have you tried to use a bow and rod that is designed for bare bow recurve into Olympic recurve? Well, not specifically. It's just that like any bow that is designed for bare bow will shoot into freestyle quite easily. There's no reason why like bare bow recurve is mostly just weighed towards the middle, so there's more mass, which means more stability without using stabilizers. So, but you can definitely shoot recurve, bare bow recurve and Olympic recurve. Just I mean, it's you find more common. You find bows which are designed for both, but people tend to pick like certain kinds of risers more for bare bow by putting weights around the stabilizers. So I haven't done it myself, but you know like, you can go both ways. There's no real significant difference to just like have a completely different bare bow riser. People would argue there's no such thing as a bare bow riser, but some are just more preferred for that reason. Nico Ra 656. How to practice with a bow too heavy? Use a lighter bow. Work towards it. You can't jump to a heavy weight. You can't jump to a heavy weight and immediately shoot well with it. You need to work towards it. Same with weightlifting. You don't go for your target weight. You work up towards it. It takes months. Don't expect to get a heavy bow and shoot it safely. So yeah, my advice: use light draw weights. Learn good technique. Get your conditioning up, and then you will find yourself shooting heavy bows with a bit more control. Space jockey compounds? Yeah, I would. Like I said, I don't have time to buy and set up a compound bow while focusing on everything else. Compound isn't why I like archery, but there's no reason why I wouldn't shoot compound. I just don't have it in the moment, which I will invest money and time into. But I would love compound. It's sort of thing where at some point I will do compound, but it's not a priority at the moment. A lot of people do. You know, I've nothing against compound. I'm enjoying recurve. I'm enjoying trad. That's the time that I have the moment to do archery, even barely that. But definitely compound one day. Macdeath, yes, I've seen Instant Robin Hood. He's working. Jörg is working with Modern Archery. Sorry, Modern Archery. Modern Night. Modern History. Sorry, the Modern History channel, which I sub to. Yeah, I've seen it. Looks really good. It's basically the Instant Genghis Khan. But done with the English longbow. So yeah, it's the same sort of thing. I'm still waiting for the Mark II of the Genghis Khan. By the way, it's coming in. Hopefully, it hasn't been like gone missing at customs or something because people might be jealous of how good it is. But I'm expecting to come in maybe next week or the week after. Hopefully, we'll see how that goes. Aiden, what to do if your draw weight is too heavy for beginner? Same thing I said before. Work towards it. If it's too heavy, don't use it. Work towards it by using lighter weights. Do exercises, do stretching bands. If you're doing gym work, then focus on your back muscles, like rows, for example, are very good for that. But you need to start low and work up. That's what everyone's saying, by the way. So start low, work up. Don't go, if it's too heavy, don't force yourself to use it. It's not going to work very well. Okay, I reckon I'll sign off. That's now 11 p.m. It's time to move on. Last question, rust bucket, is 34 pound enough to reach 70 meters? Yes, it is. Okay, alright, I reckon that's it for now. Thanks for joining me, everybody. That's a nice little stream. As usual, we'll run these every single month, and plus any extras along the way if there's any time. But it will be a busy month as we reach towards the end of the school year, so we'll see how we go with that. But thanks for joining me. Hopefully we'll see you all next time. So we will sign out there. A laser targeter for the Genghis Khan. Oh dear. Anyway, I hopefully see you next time. Do stay tuned for more videos and more training stuff. This is NUSensei, and thanks for joining me.